Howdy guys, welcome to the cave. I'm Mark, and you're watching Blue Street Customs. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode. So, let me show you what I've gotten done so far. I've redone all the door gaps, fender extensions, fender gaps up here. Got rid of a few scratches here and there. I've got the the fender scoops on. I've done up some of the back parts here. Now I still have to reprime this, but it's good enough for now. Hey, so something else I've gotten done. I put the rear suspension on. Now, of course, this is a cheap model, so, you know, it's one of these steel rod style axles and everything. Same thing with the front. So I'll try to clean those up a little bit better. Cut the exhaust off. Here's all the parts for the exhaust. Right. Finished up the firewall a little bit. Now I've also added in these front roll bar or roll cage supports and everything for the front end. Built a filler panel up top here, and I'll show you that in a second why that was needed. Rad support and radiator is on. Something else I've done is I've got this all glued together. I still got to finish doing some shaping on it. As you can see, the wing is a little wider than the actual turnout. So I'll shave that down, smooth out the top and stuff. There is supposed to be a joint there, so that will not get filled in. So on the real car, there is an Allen key screw right in the center that allows you to adjust this wing. So I'll drill in a hole right there on both ends, get that all done up. So I've got that done. Now I was going to use this here, and I think I showed this to you before. Now I cut off the carburetor and the air cleaner because it's not proper. Cut off the alternator and stuff like that. The distributor. This was meant to be a 426 Hemi, and just looking at things, it just wasn't right. But I thought maybe I could do it, you know, make it right. So I cut off the different things, cleaned everything up, and I just started looking at it, and it just, things weren't right. So I scrapped that idea, and I went to my parts bins, and I started finding model parts from other vehicles. And I found this one that actually is a Hemi. So I glued the heads on, cleaned up the motor, or cleaning up the motor. Of course, you can see, like, look at the size of these cylinder heads, right? Of course, they got the holes in the center where they're supposed to be in the valve covers. Now, this just does not compare. I mean, this thing is half the size of the freaking engine. So, as you can see, I changed it out. So I'm in the middle of doing this up. Now, I do have to make the actual stock car intake for it. And if I can, I'll try to post up some pictures here. I did find some reference photos and stuff like that. So I'll post up pictures of what it should look like. So that's what that's at. And of course, I'm going to use bits and pieces off of other motors and stuff like that to try to get as close as possible to the actual NASCAR engine, what they would have ran back in 1969 and 70. So back to this, the extension. I do have to cut this out and notch it out a bit. So I got to cut it from here to here, cut it back a bit, and cut it down a bit. And the reason for that is I got to box it in, but make it as an indent. And the reason they did that is when the engine was in the car, like so, once the intake and the carb is on, the air cleaner was actually shaped like a U almost, and that had a rubber seal that went against this. And when you put this in the car and line everything up, so now you can see why the filler panel, because the firewall is way out here. I needed to fill in that big gap. But the reason I need this indent is what they did is that air cleaner that butts up against this actually sucks air in from here, draws it in and through the air cleaner. So that's where that's at. So it should sit pretty much just like that when it's done. Now, of course, looking at other reference photos, I have to make a filler panel in here to cover that. I still have to straighten out this hood line here because it's not a V, it should be straight. The wheels are open and everything. Now, the wheels I'll be using are going to be the stock car wheels. I sanded this one up. And that's how that should look by the time it's done, both sides, or both ends, I should say. Now, looking at the reference photos, they didn't do anything to the back fender, but the front fender they did widen up or round out more. So they actually cut the sheet metal, so I'll have to do that. And the whole point of that is so that the tires can steer, right? So I'll have to do that, which shouldn't be too bad. Basically, just cut it up a little bit. I just got to round it out here, make it more of a circle, right? So once I get to that point of having the body ready to go on, I'm going to end up priming this. I'll probably do a little bit of work under here, straighten it up, clean it up a little bit better. Probably fill in this cross member. As you can see, there's like hollow spots, which shouldn't be on the real cross member. They just did this to save plastic, I guess. I don't know. So I'm going to fill it in to make it look a little better. And yeah, same thing under here. I'm going to clean up these edges, because they don't quite line up perfectly yet. But we'll get to that. Once I've got that done and the motor is ready to be put in and detailed, this diorama, the engine won't be in. It'll be set off to the side somewhere in the diorama. But I need to design up the exhaust, which should be fairly easy. I've got a set of headers here somewhere that I'll use, but I'll have to put the motor in so I know exactly where the exhaust is going to run and come out on the sides. But once all that is touched up and done, I'll prime this, and it's just going to get a coat of flat black. And then I can go along and detail paint the inside with the brush. With the body, I'll give it another coat of primer and then give it a touch-up sanding, make sure there's no scratches anywhere. I still have to do, or am thinking of doing, some body damage. Remember, this is a race car that's been sitting around for a while, so it's probably got some damage. And these guys are just fixing it up to restore it. Maybe race it one day. Who knows? But either way, I might put a little bit of body damage. Probably not much. Some parts of it I may leave in primer, like they've already fixed it in spots. Some of it might be a different color, maybe a different color nose cone. Maybe they put a new one on. Maybe one fender's still in primer. Maybe the body color, but they're doing body work in some spots. I don't know yet. Oh, and something else I've worked on. Give me a second. Something else I've worked on is I did some more work on the rear bumper. So I got to use some putty, get rid of those little gaps and nicks there. But it does fit pretty good. I still got to recurve it, but it's not too bad considering I had absolutely nothing to work with. So let me know what you guys think of this so far. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Hit that bell notification so you can get notified when I post more videos. And if you get a chance, go check out my Facebook page and my Instagram page. Links will be down in the description. So I'm going to get back to doing some more work here, and I'll be back in a few seconds for you, but probably a couple days for me. Okay, guys. Well, it's definitely been a few days since the last clip, but I've got a lot done. So you see where this was at last time. Now I've got the valve covers on. I de-chromed them. I've got the valley flattened out. Make sure everything is sitting flush. I've got the oil pan on. Clean that up. Front timing cover. I've found a water pump I can use that matches the Dodge water pump for the Hemi. And yes, I've got paint everywhere. That's blue paint. Lacquer paint don't seem to come off very well. But anyways, this here is going to end up a gas filler hole for the Nascar tube, or the Nascar filler, right? That'll sit in there. I'll show you that in a minute, where that's going to go. Now, remember I was saying I have to build the Nascar intake? Well, I built it. Piece by piece, layer by layer. Now I still have to do a little putty work on it, make it smoother. Hollow inside. It's got the indent for the carburetor. And the carburetor, again, found one nice Holly, the way they run it. They got a Holly carb, and that sits down inside. Sits a little lower. All right. And once all that's cleaned up, I think that'll look pretty good. As you can see, it's just above the valve covers. I don't know, it doesn't seem to want to film this very nicely. But anyways, I got that done. Well, pretty much done, anyways. And that's all custom hand built. Then I got this done. You saw that I had this on. I still have to notch out for the air intake. Not a big deal. Built the Radiator Support extension and filler panel. I'll show you that in a minute. But if we put this in here, as you can see, it does sit below, or just below this here. And that's where the intake goes over top and goes up against this piece here with a rubber seal and sucks in the air like I told you before. But everything fits in real nice, so that's doing good. Well, I got work done on the body. Let me readjust here for you. Now, yes, it's not perfectly smooth, which I know, because there's no clear coat on this. The top is going to be a different color anyways. So here's the hood. Hood doesn't look too bad. Again, it's a Racecar so it's going to be beat up a little bit. The underside will be flat black. I did build a lip here for the hood to catch on, right? I did straighten out the front edge, like I said I was going to, because remember it was V'd out. And the car is obviously going to be a main color of blue. Now, remember on the Chargers, the filler hole is supposed to be up top. On NASCAR, they shaved that off and they filled out the side so that when they use their filler cans, it fits right in there, right? Which is where this little piece is going to go. This will get glued on the inside. Kind of like so. I don't know if you can see that or not, but once it sits in there straight, I get a little piece to put in the center, and that little piece would be the part that would push the center of the fuel can in, right? And that would start the flow of fuel. So I got to finish that little piece up. But remember, like I said, the paint isn't perfect, and the reason for that is I'm going to be wet sanding a lot of this to make it faded so that you see the primer underneath. Some of these parts will probably get primed in a red oxide or something like that, so it looks like they've done body work to it already and just haven't finished the whole vehicle. The top color, I'm not sure what color I want yet. Maybe leave some suggestions down in the comments down below, and we'll go from there. Remember, the inner cage is blue, dirty, and rusty. So once this is all together, I think that will look pretty good. Especially if the top color is like gold or black, or maybe a different shade of blue or something. Now, putting all of this together, I'll let you do a quick peek here. So there's the filler panel up front, the intake and everything, firewall there. Everything fits nice right where it's supposed to. I'm going to probably build an air dam right here to fill this bottom piece in, because there's screens here for ramming air in. Brake ducts and everything else. This sits in there nicely. The engine sits in nice, right where it's supposed to. Sits nice and low. As you can see, it's below the fenders, so I can put that air intake on. I won't have a problem with anything. I'll have lots of clearance. It's hard to see, I can't tip it up, but if you look through the tire hole, everything is nice and low. And one other thing I did, if I can find it here, there we go. Remember I said I had to, deal with the tire issue for the front? Well, everything is rounded out now. Right, so now when they steer, it's not hitting the top, because I rounded this up. I just used my Dremel. And everything sits at the right height where it's supposed to be. These here might get cut off, because the height I've got to go with my tires, it doesn't look realistic. So, and then the roll cage, or the bottom of the car and everything, all in here. I'm not sure what I'm going to do down here yet, but everything on the bottom and the front piece is going to go flat black. I'll hand paint in here. These will be blue to match the roll cage up front, or inside I should say. Of course, hand paint all the details, things like that. Firewall, probably be black. Most of this will probably end up black, but that's where we're at. And that's where I'm going to leave you guys off today. So make sure you hit that like button if you're liking these videos and this style of video. Definitely hit that subscribe button. Make sure to check out my Facebook and my Instagram pages. They're down below. I do have a Patreon page that I am working on. I'll get that going again. More info on that coming soon. So until next time, later.